Welcome to
Separate Bathrooms. And other handy marriage tips.
I'm Cam Daddo.
I'm Ali Daddo. Why is it separate bathrooms, Cam?
Okay, well, so I don't know which one of us came up with it, but the idea of having a separate bathroom was important in our relationship because...
First handy hint.
Exactly. I mean, it was like, I don't really need you in the bathroom when I'm there.
Right.
And I know you don't need me in the bathroom.
It's one of those basic kind of things, isn't it? Where, okay, we actually don't have separate bathrooms at our house, though...
Well, there are several bathrons, but we don't share a separate...
It's kind of one at a time bathroom.
Yeah,
that's more to the point, I think. Yeah. So, you know, why are we doing this podcast? And, you know, we talked about this, and since going public on Instagram, we all know how people only put their best foot forward, and it looks like everyone's having this incredible life and there's no cellulite and their teeth are as white as snow and their children never throw a tantrum.
I suffer from major FOMO.
We get a lot of feedback whenever we post something with the two of us together with photographs of us. We're out somewhere and there's a lot of, you know, hashtag couple goals and we wish we had a marriage like you guys. Though,
if you really knew.
Here's the truth, right? Here's the truth. You don't get to 28 years, well, at least not for us. You don't get to 28 years without an enormous amount of work and a hell of a lot of struggle and a ton of tears and a fair chunk of pain.
You're painting such a great picture, honey.
But what you also get is you get a massive amount of learning in those 28 years and you learn forgiveness and there's an enormous amount of self-growth as well. And we just didn't want anyone thinking that their marriage sucked in comparison to ours or their relationship sucked in comparison to ours.
So we're going to tell you how crappy ours is.
Yeah, why not? And, you know, because, or anyone else's on social media, actually, you know, I think I've been guilty of looking at someone else's relationships going, oh, look at them traveling. Oh my God, they're so happy. Yeah. But, you know, for me, I really like hearing stories about other couples because in that way I can relate and I can think, okay, well, that helps me in my marriage and that makes sense to me. So Cam and I thought, why not share anything we can and maybe that might help someone else out there with their relationship.
Exactly. We thought we would impart what works for us. And that probably won't work for you. But it might. And maybe, you know, we'll share what didn't work for us and that might work for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be an Instagram polished version of how to work a marriage, that's for sure. We're going to be warts and all and tell you how it's been for us.
And like we've said, you know, we've been married 28 years and we've lived in multiple countries. We've had kids. We've still got them, but we've had them. And all the challenges that come with parenting. We've been separated. We've been bankrupt. We've done hours of therapy.
Yeah, basically pretty much anything you can throw at a marriage, we've done it. And we've gone through earthquakes, mudslides in LA.
Fires. We've even managed puberty.
Yeah, 3 times. Well, yeah, we're in the midst of...
We're in the midst of the third puberty go-round.
Pubic session now.
That's enough in itself, right?
I thought you were about to say that's enough.
No.
Stop talking. So anyway, through all that, we're still here to talk to you about those experiences and how we've stayed together. So we put a call out on Instagram and we had a really fabulous response, actually. It surprised me. And
call out for questions.
Yeah, we put a call out.
Not just a call out, not just like, not that kind of call.
But we got an excellent response. And so I thought, why don't we get stuck into some of these questions and answer them as best we can? And that would be a great sort of premise for a show. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can send them through to me on Instagram at Cameron Daddo.
Or you can send them to me, which is at Ali Daddo. I think everyone knows how to spell our names, right? Because it should be in the be in the description. Yeah.
Ali, 1L.
1L.
And 3 Ds for Daddo.
That's right.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's get into the first question, shall we? This is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is from Toy08. How do you keep the romance flowing and continue falling in love with each other?
That's a good one. It's a good question. Well, I mean, you know, everyone's definition of romance is going to be different. You know, the storytelling movie romance is flowers and chocolates and date night every weekend, and which are seriously important and incredibly yummy if you get the right chocolate.
Sucks if they don't like chocolate. Though,
That's
which
true.
you're not a big chocolate eater.
I'm not a big chocolate eater, but that's okay. And some might find romance is completely different to that. You know, it depends on who you are individually, like anything. And some might find romance takes place in how someone takes the time to make you the perfect cup of tea, or, you know, buys you something out of the blue that you might need but haven't even asked for. Or my favorite, you ask a question about how you are feeling and then really listen and ask if there's anything they can do to help you. Those are sort of, I'm moving more into my realm of romantic.
Right.
What's the most?
Well, that's, I mean, and that's, I think that's true for anyone. If someone, it's very seductive and I find very sexy when someone asks you a question and listens and actually pays attention.
Well, I was just going to ask you, what's the most romantic thing I do for you? Did you just answer that?
Yeah, I kind of answered it there. But for me, with you, it's the little things, like you take care of dinner most nights. Well, you do.
Yeah,
not every,
that's true.
most
That's true.
nights,
Yeah, of course.
right?
Yeah.
The other nights we do take out.
Thank you for being honest, Cameron Daddo.
Oh, I do the barbecue. Well,
You're a barbecuer. You do the barbecue.
Yes, but I'll pay you more respect here because you organise the dinner. I just cook the barbecue.
Right, it's the thought.
Every now and again, probably maybe once every few weeks, I will actually arrange the dinner. Like you'll do the menu. Go, can you cook this?
Uh-huh.
The romantic things that you do for me, you're very good at gifting, and for me, it's what I find lovely is when you will come up and put your hand on my back, or around my shoulders, or give me a kiss, or things like that. Those little gestures mean more to me because they're the inverse of a paper cut. It's just this
right,
added.
yeah.
They compound the love, and it's just really nice to be on the receiving end of that.
And I think that is really important after 28 years, isn't it? To keep those little touches going, the hand holding, just, walking down the street and putting your arms around each other, and those things really make a difference for long-term relationships.
Yeah, well, they do. And I read something, I don't know who wrote it, but it was the fact that love is a verb. The feeling of love that we all love comes from the action of love. And if you're falling out of love, this is what the word, these are not my words, but if you're falling out of love with someone, choose the action to love them, to love. And
right.
That's where the feelings of love start to grow from there.
Yeah.
So if you're going, I'm just not in love with you anymore. It's like, well, okay, so take an action to love them, to love something about them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah? And then the feelings come back.
Yeah.
And I think you and I, through our years of being married, have been out of love and then actually taken an action to fall back. I mean, those feelings came back again through what we did. Yeah. And you mentioned before about therapy, where we were given some great tools in there, and it was like we would look at each other and say, well, what do you actually like about them? Yeah. Instead of focusing on the lack of what you don't.
Right, exactly.
So what about you?
Well,
do I do anything romantic for you?
Yeah, you do. I'm actually thinking, I've got one story, though, that I have to tell because I actually think this is probably the most romantic thing you've ever done for me. And it was so beautiful. And I think about this all the time. When I was younger...
Because you have to remind yourself.
To remind myself,
shithead.
oh, you hate him? Okay, remember that one moment. No. No, it was when I was younger, I was a dancer. I danced for 9 years, and there was not a single photo that existed of me as a ballerina. And dance was a huge part of my life. I loved it so much, and I blew both my knees out and could no longer continue dancing. I still love dancing to this day. And I would always lament that to Cam. And then for one birthday, it was a birthday, wasn't it? I don't think it was a Mother's Day. For one birthday, we sat down at the table like we always do on birthdays and Mother's Days and Father's Day, and we had a yummy breakfast that someone's cooked, usually the kids or Cam, depending whose it is. If it's, you know, if it's for me or vice versa, I cook it for the others.
It's whoever's not celebrating the day.
We always it's called Big Mama's breakfast. And there were these gifts on the table, and there was this mug in front of me, and I picked it up, and on it was a photograph of me when I was a ballerina in this concert. And on the back you had written, I'm a dancer. I'm a dancer. And I'm going to cry now. I just burst into tears because what Cam had done is he found out the place that I used to dance, called them up and and asked if they actually had any existing photos from me as a young girl dancing. Now, this is going back.
She had to go back to the 1979, 1980.
Yes, so many years. Yeah. And brilliantly, they still had some. And Cam got them shipped over and made T-shirts and mugs and...
My mum's a dancer on the kids' outfits.
The whole thing was me as a dancer. I mean, it was so thoughtful. And that is romance to me. It's thoughtfulness. That will hands down beat any chocolate diamond ring any day, is the thought of what someone puts into a gift. And that was so thoughtful. So kudos to you, husband. Honey.
I forgot about that. Do we still have the mug?
No, we don't. It broke.
Oh, I guess we have to go back to the drawing board. I don't know. Oh, I know the pictures are on an old computer.
Yeah. How important do you think it is to have romance in a marriage? Do you think that that's what keeps... I mean, again, it's the definition of romance, isn't it? I mean, do you think that keeps everything going in a marriage?
It's a massive part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be, because you know that when you're in the beginning of a romance, that sort of stuff kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah.
And it burns out pretty quick. If that,
yeah.
You've got the endorphins are running and it's like you don't really have to work too hard at it. You get to that 5-year period, the honeymoon's over, and now you're into it and you're getting to know each other, and it's probably a good idea to start using separate bathrooms. keep that right, keep that alive. Just kind of keep that nice little bit of, I don't know if it's secrecy or just that mystique is nice to have.
Yes,
because that familiarity.
Keep the air freshener there.
Yeah, keep the eucalyptus spray. That's a good smell. But look, yeah. So I think it's important to work at it, and keep coming up with ways to love,
right.
To show your love.
Like you said, in taking action.
Yeah. And that as much, look, I think it, from where I'm at in my life and my age, it's as important to do it for yourself as it is to do it for your partner, to do as well. I think,
you're saying to show some romance to yourself?
Yes, actually, it's good to romance yourself every now and again.
Take yourself out. You do that every Saturday and Wednesday when you take yourself to the golf course. That's
or
romantic
swimming,
for you.
or whatever I'm doing. Just go a little mandate with myself. And
I think I do that when I go clothes shopping, maybe.
I know you do when you go op shopping.
What would I like? What would I like to wear today? How romantic.
No, I think that's important. And I think you need... And look, as we've often spoken about, and I'll mention it for the first time today, is that, marriage... For us, it's been like it's a day-to-day proposition. You can't take it for granted. And even though we do, and I do, I'm not perfect. And I do forget. So it's just, and we all do. That's the human experience. So you kind of got to cut yourself a bit of slack and go, all right, well, I've remembered.
And I think the best thing is if, if you're wanting romance, then give it. Give it.
Say that again.
If you're wanting romance... then give it.
So
Give it
whatever
yourself.
you want, give it.
Yeah, give it. And because then you're still getting the romance, you're giving it and give it without expectation.
Ah, yes, see.
And then you create more of the romance because you're building on that. And then you're not having to wait for someone to give it to you. You know, obviously, it's always lovely to get, you know, romance in return, though demonstrating, there's nothing wrong with demonstrating romance either.
So you're demonstrating what you need.
Yeah.
How you like it. Fair enough.
Has there been a time where you've attempted, I shouldn't say attempted, where your intention was to romance me and it's gone crazily wrong?
I'm sure, look, I'm sure there's a lot, and probably now that you're asking me the question, I'll think of, afterwards I'll think of some more, but there was that one time, it was, you were coming from the States to Sydney, and I was with the kids, and we were meeting you, and I thought you were coming in at a gate. Where were we? We were at B. We were at gate B, and waiting for you, and I didn't know that there was another gate. So we were at gate B, waiting for you to come, and then I'm like, well, that's where she's coming, and you came in at gate A. And I
hadn't seen you in weeks.
I think you wandered around there for about 45 minutes waiting. And we're standing there, and then I think it was your dad that found you, wasn't it?
Because I couldn't call because my American phone wasn't working in Australia yet. So, you know that feeling when you get off the plane.
Because we were there early. Yeah.
Yeah, and you had balloons, and you had flowers, and it was just... It would
romantic.
It was romantic once we finally met, though. Yeah, that was a little... Yeah.
So it was
one of those moments.
It was a 3 out of 5 attempt. It would have been a 5 out of 5.
Right.
What about you? Have you ever...
I'm going to go way back. I'm going to go way, way back when we first met. It was actually the first meal I ever cooked for you. And I wasn't the best cook, but I had this one meal up my sleeve.
I know
this
what you're going to say.
Delicious prawn dish with chili and feta. And you'd mentioned on a previous outing how much you like spicy food. I, on the other hand, hate spicy food. And so I'm in my kitchen and I'm making this prawn dish and I've cut this chili up and I'm holding it with my fingers and cutting it with a knife, and then I've touched my eye, and then I've touched my nose, and I've touched my ear, and then you sit down to eat. We sit down and it's candlelight, so romantic, and you eat it and your eyes are like bulging out of your head.
No, sweat pouring off my brow.
Tears running down my face because it's so hot, and then all of a sudden I feel this heat in my nose, heat in my eye, in my ear, and I'm in the bathroom attempting to wash this chili. Oh, my fingers were on fire.
I remember it was underneath your fingernails.
Oh God, it was a disaster. And I remember being told that yogurt was a great way to stop chili from burning. So I surreptitiously went and got a tub of yogurt, took it into my bathroom and buried my nose in the yogurt to try to stop the burning.
Yeah, but you had it in the milk first.
Oh, yeah, the milk that didn't work.
first.
Nothing worked. It must have been one of those, it was a very hot pepper. But that was not one of the most, it was romantic in its intention, but didn't quite come off as planned. Let's put it that way.
Still a good story.
Yeah.
Still a good story.
Yeah, indeed.
You know, just as a general thing though, where I've failed for myself in the romance stakes is when I've attached expectations to it.
Yeah.
You know, like I think this is what's going to happen, especially like if we've gone out on a date. If we've gone out on a date and it's gone great, and then, you know, expectations go at the end of the night, you come home, you know, and what I'm hoping ensues doesn't.
You falling asleep in front of the TV. That doesn't happen.
I don't want to fall asleep in front of the TV. But if I have expectations about stuff and it doesn't happen, I find that can be, it can take away.
From the beauty of the night that we've just had?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's best for me anyway not to have expectations about anything. Just be with whatever it is.
Right.
Have the intention of what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I'm intending and what I want.
Yeah.
But if you have the expectation attached, it just it can mess with me.
I agree. I understand that for myself as well. As soon as I have any expectations about anything, it never bodes well.
Yeah.
It's just being as we were saying, to be able to give without the expectation. Just give and let that be all that it is. If you've massaged someone's feet, let that be what it is, and trust that person will massage your feet at some other time.
It's another time. I was going to say, because they're probably asleep if it's me. Or a back rub or something. You go, it's just,
That is true.
Allow that to happen. With all this talk about romance, do you find that romance helps? Does it help you stay in love with me? Does it make you fall in love with me again? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what we've been saying, isn't it? That romance is in your own form of romance. Sometimes, though, you know what you need to do? I think on both.
I need to do that? You tell me what I need to do.
No, I'm sorry. I should have said what we need to do. It's not to say you.
See, he's a handy daddy. Don't say the other one what you need to do.
All of a sudden I got this idea, but I was sort of talking to myself, my third person. Sometimes I need to tell you what it is, how I need to be romanced, because that can be really helpful too. Because if I say...
telling the truth.
If I'm having the expectation that you're going to know what I need, oh Lord, that's a whole load of trouble that we're in. So, and I'm still learning that, because I will go silent on things where if I say, I just really need you to make dinner tonight. I've learnt that only in the past maybe year and a half. As I've entered into perimenopause and menopause, I've learned to be a lot more succinct with my questions and desires, or else I will blow a gasket. So knowing that I need to say, I really need you to make dinner tonight, so I can just bury my face in a bucket of ice water while you... Make dinner and take, or go do a meditation. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to another thing, because I know that there have been times when you've wanted me to do something or say something, and us guys, most guys, are fix-its. We're very task orientated. We like to know what we need to do. When you give us a directive, most blokes will do it. And especially if it means that you're going to love us more, or, things are going to work out better for us. We'll do what we can do to make you happy. That's how I feel anyway. And there's been those moments where you've actually said to me, honey, you've just said that all wrong. I've given you a compliment. It's come out backwards. Like, your bum's really great, even though I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to talk about a bum right now. But then you go, if you could have just said it like this, and then you give me the words to say,
right,
how you want me to say something. And I think that has been, I don't think it is. It's been really helpful for me trying to figure out how to say things, because often we don't mean to, but we put our foot in our mouths.
Yeah.
And when we get assistance, when you're clear with us, and in that moment, I mean, the guy's got to be open to it. He's got to be open to wanting to know and to listen and go, yeah, okay, all right. Oh, okay, I get what you're talking about. Yeah, I can say it like that. And then if they're anything like me, they might go back to a journal and write it down word for word.
And I need to not
like
be reactive, because I know you're doing your best to tell me a compliment. I can see that. And yet...
It's just fraught with danger.
And yet... I go, wow, how did he get that so wrong? You did one the other day, and Lotus was there too, our eldest daughter, and the two of us just looked at each other and went, oh, Dad, no, you tried really hard. You 10 for effort, but 1 for what actually came out of your mouth. It was about some weight issue, about me putting on weight. And of course, that's like the highest fraught with danger comment of all, talking to a menopausal woman. You have to be very, very careful around that. So I think that's what I've most coached you on, is how to respond when I say I feel like I've put on weight.
Yeah. And my
How to respond.
My go-to at the moment is less said, sooner mended.
Really, it's just about, honey, you're beautiful at any size. That's it. End of story.
Well, there you go. I'm going to write that down.
That's it. Yep. On that note.
Yeah, I think that wraps us up. I got to walk the dogs.
Yeah, I got to go get our youngest, our teenage girl.
Yeah, teenager. Yes.
A lot to talk about with her.
There you go. So thanks for joining us on Separate Bathrooms. We'll catch you next time for a chat, and we'll talk about what we've learned about staying connected to our kids whilst navigating celebrity and moving countries.
Yeah, that's the next one, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.